Good morning. Daily Bible reading. Genesis chapter 32. Now, Jacob has escaped with his wives and his children, his flocks and possessions from his uncle Laban. God has intervened and led to a forced reconciliation with Laban, so that some sort of family harmony has been recreated between Jacob and Laban. He now approaches Esau with very great trepidation, and properly so. He has, remember, treated Esau really badly, and Esau, being a person of impetuosity and strength, did not take well to this 20 years ago. So there are a number of things we see happening here. We see God miraculously surrounding Jacob with an army of angels. Now, it seems, given the events of the rest of the chapter, that these were more meant to symbolize God's protection of Jacob than to provide protection. Psalm 34 says the hosts of God encamp around the dwellings of the just, and that's what's happening here. We see Jacob being very properly apprehensive about approaching Esau. Esau has left the place where he was camped with his father. He has gone off to a different place, voluntarily, you'll notice, vacating the land of promise. And Jacob approaches Esau, knowing by whatever means that Esau has left the land of promise. He approaches Esau and submits to him as his older brother, and sends appeasing gifts in a sort of series, so that each successive gift will please Esau more, and all being well appease him. He arranges his household really unpleasantly, so that his junior wives are at the front. So if Esau attacks, they'll bear the brunt of his attack, and he and his senior wives will be able to run off. But we remember that Jacob, although he is a very flawed individual, is also a chosen man of God. He returns to prayer, and God sends him this experience of wrestling with God. Now, on the face of this looks extremely unlikely. Jacob wrestles with God. God comes in human form and wrestles with Jacob and is overcome by Jacob. What this symbolizes, though, is the trial that God sends to his people, that God will test and discipline his people, but that God's testing and God's discipline is not too powerful or strong for us to overcome. He allows us to overcome it when we are faithful and endure. And that is the symbolic meaning, both to Jacob and to us, of this episode of the patriarch, the chosen man of God, wrestling with God. That he has sent trial, he has sent discipline, but whenever he endures and is faithful, he overcomes discipline. He doesn't get away quite scot-free, and nor do we, from the discipline of God, but that is its symbolism. God protects Jacob. God gives Jacob the good sense to appease those who he has wronged. God sends his vision. God visits Jacob in order to reassure him that the many trials which he has faced and will face can be overcome with endurance and faithfulness. Genesis chapter 32. This is God's word. And Jacob went on his way, and the angels of God met him. And when Jacob saw them, he said, "This is God's host," and he called the name of that place Manahaim. And Jacob sent messengers before him to Esau his brother, unto the land of Seir, the country of Edom. And he commanded them, saying, "Thus shall ye speak unto my lord Esau. Thy servant Jacob saith thus, I have sojourned with Laban, and stayed there until now. I have oxen and asses, flocks and men servants, and women servants, and I have sent to tell my lord that I may find grace in thy sight." And the messengers returned to Jacob, saying, "We came to thy brother Esau, and also he cometh to meet thee, and 400 men with him." Then Jacob was greatly afraid and distressed, and he divided the people that was with him, and the flocks, and the herds, and the camels into 2 bands. And he said, "If Esau come to the one company and smite it, then the other company which is left shall escape. And Jacob said, O God of my father Abraham, and God of my father Isaac, the Lord which saidst to me, Return unto thy country and to thy kindred, and I will deal well with thee. I am not worthy of the least of all the mercies, and of all the truth which thou hast showed unto thy servant. For with my staff I passed over this Jordan. Now I am become two bands. Deliver me, I pray thee, from the hand of my brother, from the hand of Esau, for I fear him, lest he will come and smite me and the mother with the children. And thou saidst, I will surely do thee good, and make thy seed as the sand of the sea, which cannot be numbered for multitude. And he lodged there that same night, and took of that which came to his hand a present for Esau his brother, 200 she-goats, and 20 he-goats, 200 ewes, and 20 rams, 30 milk camels with their coats, 40 kine and 10 bulls, 20 she-asses, and 10 foals. And he delivered them into the hands of his servant. Every drove by themselves, and said unto his servants, Pass over before me, and put a space betwixt drove and drove. And he commanded the foremost, saying, When Esau my brother meeteth thee, and asketh thee, saying, Whose art thou? Whither thou goest? And whose are these before thee? Then thou shalt say, These be of my servant Jacob. It is a present sent unto my lord Esau, and behold, also he is behind us. And so commanded he the second, the third, and all that followed the drove, saying, On this manner shall ye speak unto Esau when ye find him. And say ye moreover, Behold, my servant Jacob is behind us, for he said, I will appease him with the present that goeth before me, and afterward I will see his face, peradventure he will accept of me. So went the present over before him, and himself lodged that night in the company. And he rose up that night, and took his 2 wives and his 2 women servants, and his 11 sons, and passed over the ford Jabbok. And he took them, and sent them over the brook, and sent over that he had. And Jacob was left alone, and there wrestled a man with him until the breaking of the day. And when he saw that he prevailed not against him, he touched the hollow of his thigh, and the hollow of Jacob's thigh was out of joint as he wrestled with him. And he said, Let me go, for the day breaketh. And he said, I will not let thee go unless thou bless me. And he said unto him, What is thy name? And he said, Jacob. And he said, Thy name shall be called no more Jacob, but Israel. For as a prince thou hast power with God and with men, and hast prevailed. And Jacob asked him and said, Tell me, I pray thee, thy name. And he said, Wherefore is it that thou dost ask after my name? And he blessed him there. And Jacob called the place of the name Peniel, for I have seen God face to face, and my life is preserved. And as he passed over Penuel, the sun rose up upon him, and he halted upon his thigh. Therefore the children of Israel eat not of the sinew which shrank, which is upon the hollow of the thigh unto this day, because he touched the hollow of Jacob's thigh in the sinew that shrank. And we pray God's blessing on this reading from his holy word.